And going back to our top story, which is about the situation between Israel and Hamas and whether the ceasefire can be extended or a second phase of the ceasefire can be negotiated. We have with us Lieutenant General Ata Hasnain, a retired former General Officer Commanding of the 15th Corps. Thank you very much, General Hasnain, for being with us. Now, if we look at, progress or what's hindering progress, what do you think are the factors that are hindering progress towards reaching moving towards, let's say, the second phase of the ceasefire?
See, Mark, ceasefires as it is are always troublesome events. Implementing them is always a major problem. Here, the problem between Israel and Hamas becomes even more than any other ceasefire. For one reason, the trust factor is almost zero here. And the second thing is that while Israel is a formed nation with a structured nation, they are dealing on the other side with Hamas, which is an internationally recognized terrorist organization. And therefore, adhering to the principles of what you have agreed to, accepted, and signed on the dotted line becomes a major challenge. As far as Hamas is concerned, it's looking for a permanent ceasefire, which it is not getting because this is all coming in bits and pieces. It's looking for a complete withdrawal of the Israeli Defense Forces, which Israel will not withdraw until it is fully satisfied that it has got all the hostages who are alive have returned. In addition to that, the reconstruction effort has to be shown to be serious, and a return of the people probably has to be made a little more energetic, but Hamas finds that enough people have not come back yet, and there has to be a serious prisoner exchange. Now, these are some of the demands from Hamas. Obviously, Israel does not agree with that. Israel says that it has shown all the patience necessary to implement such a ceasefire, and that Hamas is not living up to its side of the promise it made in the ceasefire agreement.
Indeed. General Hasnain, how effective have international mediators been in facilitating the current ceasefire negotiations?
Well, for one, the beginning of it itself, to bring about a ceasefire itself was a major challenge after an event such as October the 7th and the series of events which have taken place progressively thereafter, including the large-scale bombing of Gaza by the Israeli Air Force, leading to the death of almost 50,000 people. Despite that, the negotiators have managed to bring about a ceasefire agreement to their very great credit. The fact remains that Egypt, Qatar, and the United States, the three major countries which have joined hands in bringing this together, obviously have to oversee this far more seriously. And you find infringements taking place from time to time. There's a lot of back and forth which has to take place between Qatar and Cairo. That is the two main centers of negotiations where things are taking place. Whenever there is some kind of a lapse anywhere, the state of Israel decides not to send a delegation, and after a little bit of a delay, they decide to send a delegation. So these are challenges which take place mostly in any ceasefire agreement. But obviously, they are more serious here because many more lives are involved.
Right.
So much more destruction has happened here. And the world has been all expecting that some kind of a reprieve after the year and a half, some kind of a reprieve will come about now.
General Hasnain, is extending the first phase, through Ramadan and the Passover, the most feasible option, given that it gives each side time, and also since religion matters quite a lot to both sides?
Yes, this usually happens internationally everywhere. I have seen this happening in Kashmir, even between our forces and terrorists on the other hand. It's happened there. We've had ceasefires on the line of control many times, and we have made sure that they transcend the period of Ramzan particularly, because in Kashmir, Ramzan is taken very, very seriously. So a similar parallel you can draw here too. Very important festivals, the festival of Ramadan, Passover, both of them, and this must, the the ceasefire must sort of transcend over them, allow the people some kind of a reprieve, a break from the terrible situation that they have been in all this time, bringing in some kind of a humanitarian aid, which can be also facilitated.
General Hasnain, we are also seeing pressure being put on Netanyahu from families of the hostages. Maybe there's pressure also on the other side. But do you see them pressing for the second phase? And, what impact will this pressure have in that sense? Because Netanyahu is also caught up in corruption, a corruption trial, and some of them feel that he's just wanting to stay in power just to avoid the corruption charges.
Your second part of the question first. Netanyahu, no doubt, has been the greatest beneficiary of this entire war. Otherwise, he may have possibly been on trial at this particular time and definitely not in power. But yes, you're right. That is what the international media talks about. Most strategic analysts believe in that there is every effort going on to try and perpetuate this war as far forward as possible. But obviously, a time limit will be there. You can't just carry on destroying a nation. There will be no end to the kind of destruction which has gone on all this time. The other aspect is basically the trust factor, which is the most important thing here. At no stage is Hamas going to reveal exactly the list of hostages who are alive and with them, or the list of people who are dead. This is something which Israel has been demanding for fairly long, because once the list is out, once Hamas has handed over almost every single hostage, the situation between the two sides may just deteriorate all over again. Right. This is something which Hamas wants to probably keep as a last-minute kind of a arguing point in their, or something in their favor, a negotiating point in their favor at the talks which will continue subsequently.
Finally, General Hasnain, what long-term measures are necessary to ensure, the reconstruction of Gaza and prevent future conflicts? Do you see this, the Egyptian plan as well as the US plans as serious models? Are they just showing people that, this can be your future if you move towards peace?
Well, for one, Mark, is going to be a tremendous amount of investment which will be required to rebuild Gaza. They've already spoken of a couple of $1 billion. I think $43 billion was what Egypt was talking about. Where will that money come from? Will this be an international consortium to put that kind of money together? Will Israel have a role in that itself? All these are questions at the moment. The most important thing which will be necessary is peace, because after the death of 50,000 Palestinians, I do foresee the sentiments of retribution and revenge will be very much live. And that is something that Israel will have to contend with. This back and forth kind of a thing between Hamas and Israel is therefore likely to continue. I don't think there is a thing called conflict termination that we are looking at squarely in our face as far as the Gaza Strip is concerned. And although everyone will want to put in efforts towards reconstruction, I think we've got a long wait before that actually fructifies in any way.
We'll leave it there. Thank you very much, Lieutenant General Syed Ata Hasnain, former General Officer Commanding of the 15th Corps. Thank you for putting that into perspective for us.